Your reality will change once you understand it just is. There is no wrong. And the biggest mistakes that I made, and I see a lot of other entrepreneurs make, is that they label things as wrong. But there is no truths in reality. There's only half truths. The only truths that exist is what your subconscious mind believes to be true. The conviction behind a belief that you have, that is the only truth that exists. And when you label something as wrong, as an entrepreneur, you are creating that belief that that thing is wrong, when in reality, you have no idea if that is wrong or right, based on your path and your journey. You can only perceive 0.1% of reality. So how ignorant do you have to be to believe that you know what is right and wrong for yourself? Normally what happens is that there's an energy pendulum that is swinging. It's called the law of polarity, from right to wrong, good and evil, sun, rain, whatever you want to call it. And what happens is that when that energy pendulum swings to something that is wrong in our business, we fixate on that wrong, which then begins us to operate at a lower frequency, which then has caused more things that go wrong in the business. When in reality, that was just a brief moment in time that was supposed to then swing back to the other side. But that fixation on the wrong is what then materializes more wrong. And that becomes our reality. And as entrepreneurs, we have to reframe our mind when these things happen and understand that it is just is. You know, there's times in my life, countless times, where things were wrong, which were the best things that ever happened to me. I'm sure you can see them in your life as well. You know, the day I lost $5 million overnight, I had to reframe that into a positive experience. And the way I did that was, you know, I looked at all other massive entrepreneurs out there that made it big time, and they all had massive failures. So that for me was like, great, this is my admission to the next level. And it was, because when I lost that $5 million from a retailer going bust, it forced me to pivot and go online, which is the best thing that ever happened to me. If that didn't happen, I never would have pivoted so early. And I wouldn't have made, you know, the brand that I have today that's worth over $100 million. Another time was when, you know, I was selling power banks into mass retailers. One caught on fire in someone's house, had to do a national recall, you know, I was on the news and stuff like that. But at the time, sure, I thought it was wrong, and I was upset by the circumstances. I can't control my first thought, maybe my first emotion, but I can control my second. And I knew that was just setting me up for something bigger and better. It's just my journey. That was my admission to the next level. And what happened a year from then was the hoverboards came out, and I created the safest hoverboard in Australia and the biggest brand in Australia within 3 months. I did about $2 million because of the lessons I learned about the previous battery failure. My hoverboard was the only one that wasn't blowing up. So you have to see that there is no wrong in reality. And the definition of manifestation is shifting internally to a degree where you're no longer emotionally reliant on seeing reality change. And when we label something as wrong in our business, in our life, that something happens, we naturally shift internally. You know, we get anxious, we might feel sad, but we are moving away from the manifestation techniques and how the universe works. And that's the point I'm trying to get at, is that if you want to materialize the reality that you desire, you have to stop labeling things as wrong. They just are, they just is. And if you focus on what is right, if you operate from that $100 million self, that, for me anyway, that live in the end of whatever version of yourself you're trying to create, operate from that frequency and focus on that, despite how that energy pendulum sways and those things that come into your life that seem wrong. And you focus on that self, you will materialize that self. You don't know which way your life's going to go, the path that's laid out in front of you. I didn't know how I was against $100 million. I didn't think it would be by this company. I thought I'd be doing by 10 other companies, but I got there because I just kept focused on the goal. I didn't care about the mechanics of how it worked because I can't play that out. The universe will intuitively direct you to the best path for you based on the lessons that you need to learn. And every time something happens that is wrong, it is literally setting you up for the next level, the new frequency that you need to obtain to get to that version of yourself. So just remember, if you want to see your reality change, there is no wrong.